So I want to give you some pictures and some of that and what we're doing. So there's our church. You saw the inside of our church right there. And this is our summit that we had. This is our faculty. And if you notice, the ones teaching are not missionaries. They're all Africans. That's, again, what you are participating in, because it started out as all missionaries back when I got there in 2002. And now we have these, and there's actually another guy here who's an African that's going to be working remotely in Johannesburg, but our principal is a name Charlie Ramphimedzi. They use the term principal. It's really president, same thing. And Charlie graduated from Christ Seminary in the year 2000. He is now running the seminary. And he has his doctorate of ministries from the Master's Seminary. So he has gone all the way through, getting from us, and has gone on. Andrew Izieho is from Kenya. He's got his Master's of Arts in Biblical Counseling. So he's a ACBC counseling guy. And that's what he does. Joseph Maklaola, I believe, has been here before. Was he here, Tim? Yeah, he was here. Yeah, Joseph Maklaola. He's someone I trained back in 2002 to 2005, but now he is a peer. He got his doctorate of ministries from Southern Seminary over in Kentucky. And so he's here working. We just hired a new guy, Member Ngobeni. He graduated 2013, and he's getting his PhD from the University of Potchefstroom, where I got my PhD in South Africa. And Kwacha Simwaka, he graduated with Joseph in 2005 from Christ Seminary. Interesting case for him. So I'm going to try this here. I'm going to do this. Yeah, these two guys. Look at there. Those two guys. Yeah, those two guys, they graduated together from Christ Seminary. And now they're both teaching at Christ Seminary. And Kwacha has graduated from the Master's Seminary because he went over to America, got his Master's of Theology there. And he married an American, became an American citizen, so he's actually an American Grace Church missionary, but he's Malawian and he's African. So it's like, man, you got all these people in the mix that's here. And so that is our faculty that's teaching. So you can imagine now, we've got a seminary that is very relational. When students come in, they speak the language. I mean, everybody speaks English. But there's something about speaking English and there's something about speaking the home language, it's like there's a connection that's made that I can't quite do as well. That's all there. That's our faculty. So that's what's in play right now. Highlights of 2021. Well, 2021 was a tough year. It's kind of like I think it was like 1816, I think. There was a volcano that erupted. And it was the largest volcanic eruption ever measured. I think it was 1516, in the Indonesian area. And it covered the world with ash so much. Just my little pitch here, I gotta be careful, it's America doing this, but that volcano by itself, that one small little act of God by itself, lowered the Earth's temperature around the world by 2 degrees centigrade. That would be 4 degrees. So I just kind of laugh when I think of the global warming stuff, when they're working real hard so that in 100 years we might, by a quarter of a degree do this or that. God in one little volcano went like that, and then all of a sudden the whole world is down by 4 degrees. So when that happened, they called it the year without a summer. There was snow in July all over the Northeast and Europe, everywhere. 2021 was kind of like the year without a summer. 2021 and 2020, the year without a summer. So what you see here on this top screen is a Zoom screen. That was Christ Seminary in 2021. We Zoomed. And I don't think that's really an accurate screen because most of the guys don't show their faces on Zoom. You know how you can just kind of take the video off kind of deal? They could be sitting there in their pajamas eating a bowl of cereal, whatever, and you have no idea. So I don't like Zoom. I'm not a big fan. But we did it, and God allowed us to persevere. So we had 2 years of online teaching. And students returned on campus now for their last session, so we are now back in class. So even as I speak today, students are in class just like normal. And South Africa, they just announced, I think a week or so ago, all students, all grades, kindergarten on up, will be in class. And these are the key words: no social distancing. That's where Africa is today, because they're noticing that nobody's going to the hospital. So they're saying, oh, okay. So it really doesn't matter if you get sick. Everybody gets sick, flu season, those kind of things, but nobody's going to the hospital, so they're being rational and saying, here we go. So we're back. We're back in class. We're back in every aspect. But just shows you a little bit down here at the bottom that we've got here, this right here. There we go, look at there. That we could actually do that kind of stuff on the screen in Zoom. So this is all like we're teaching these guys, and in teaching them, we're able to at least get some stuff on the screen and we can interact. So it wasn't optimal, but it worked. And so we were okay. So 2020, 2021, guys kept coming, guys were getting trained. Not the best. So this gives you a picture as well. So this is kind of geared to give you some pictures and to go through this. That's our library has about 10 of these shelves, 12, 15 of these shelves of just books that we've had that people have invested in. We've got about 12, 15,000 books volume in a library, so that our students come and then we assign things, they go and they get these books. Not as big as Master's Seminary, but it's very much big enough for our people to do what it takes. And that bed is that's what the guys sleep in. So when they come, we got all new mattresses for them now. So after 20 years, it's time for new mattresses. And so they come and they have 2 men to a room and a shower and internet and a study thing. So one guy can sleep, the other guy can study. And so it's very well. I hate to give too much of this to you because you say, man, I want to send my kids there because they're well taken care of. TMAI, Masters Academy International. So all these here on the bottom screen are men who are involved in teaching. You can see right there in the front and the bottom, there's Tim Cantrell. He's where Robin Brown is, Antioch Bible Church in Johannesburg. And they are part of this Masters Academy International. And so we're all there gathering to craft a strategy for Africa, presenting the vision and strategy. So there I am. I'm giving a devotion. We're in the bush. I will tell you this. It even surprised me when we were there. So being in Africa, you will get a surprise no matter what you do. You just walk outside, you get surprised. And you never know what it is. But we were safe there. There was no lions and elephants there. They are around, but they're not there because there's a fence and things. So, but we were in the bush. A lot of things are in the bush. And we were walking a couple of kilometers, about a 4 or 5 kilometer hike to get to a place where we're doing devotion. And somehow they had the dog let out. I don't know, they're farm dogs, and they're running around. And they got these little Jack Russells. They have Jack Russells here? Little bitty dogs, snake dogs. They're brilliant snake dogs. I mean, it's like watching tag team wrestling. These dogs they'll take on cobras, they'll take on mambas. It's like, woof, they're amazing. They're way better than mongoose. So anyway, this farm dog's running around, and we're walking on this hike, and all of a sudden I hear this screaming, yelling deal. I turn and look around, and this farm dog had somehow gotten into a warthog kind of deal, where the warthog mom was gone, and he grabbed one of these baby warthogs, and man, he was skedaddling, man. He just got the prize. And so this Jack Russell's running by us, and he's got this pretty sizable, warthog pig just squealing right and left. But this dog is not listening to anybody saying, wait, come back. No, man, he's gone. And so is the pig. I mean, that dog he just chowed the whole pig. And it just... So you get surprised in Africa. That's just kind of life, It's just, okay, that's being on a farm in Africa. And so normally you think it's the animals coming after you, and sometimes the dogs come after the animals, and it happens. So that was life in the bush there. So we were there plotting our strategy. I'm going to share some of that strategy with you so you can see, when I say strategy, this is what we're doing It's happening now at the ground floor where real time's happening. So we gathered here. This is not Christ Seminary. It's Christ Seminary and. So we got people in Zambia, people in Zimbabwe, people in Madagascar, people in Malawi. Those are all African countries around that southern part of Africa. People from Uganda, people from Ethiopia are training men. My role is to gather us all together so we can collaborate, come together, share things, faculty, so forth, so on. So that's what the Masters Academy International. So when you hear occasionally through the year, yeah, we do Christ Seminary, us TMAI, so who are those guys? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We're just going, TMAI is Christ Seminary around Africa. It's getting bigger. It's also around the world. It's just our part is Africa. That's what we do. This is a typical classroom. Now, in this case, because it's our second years are coming back, so we don't have many, but you have to have the spacing, and everybody can't sit. You're not allowed to sit in the desk next to them, and all those kinds of things. So that's how we are. But that's what a typical classroom is. We've got a pulpit. We have some audiovisual, technical. We can do this kind of stuff that you see up there now. And this right here is our graduating class of the third years this last year. There are 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we actually had another guy. There's 7. One guy's missing. So we had 7 third years graduate. And we're also having, I think, 5 or 6 fourth years are graduating now. We'll do our graduation ceremony as soon as I get back in March. And so we're graduating essentially 12, 13, which is a good year, good graduation. They've completed their studies, and they're moving on. For 2022, this is what I'm going to want to show you. But there's our principal, Charlie. He preaches, and that right there at the bottom, that's who's coming in. So these guys here. Now, okay. That's who's there. They just took that picture like a couple weeks ago. I got it so I could throw it in here for you guys to see. So this is a combined first and third years that are here, but majority of them are first years coming in. This is what's so amazing. During COVID, it's tough. You're kind of radio silence. You're trying to things. The Lord has caused people we're known by word of mouth. We're not by having a great marketing team. And people from all over the continent, Kenya, Uganda, Zimbabwe, Malawi, South Africa, are calling us, can I interview? I want to go to your school. How do you find out about us? You know how they find out? I heard some guy somewhere, that guy was amazing. He could preach. I went and talked to him. He said, oh, Christ Seminary, that's where I'm going. So, I want to talk to you guys. That's how we get known. People hear the graduates, just normal guys, they preach, and it is so different than everything else in the African community. People out there who say, man, I'm considering ministry. Wherever we're going, wherever that guy went, that's where I want to go. And I will say the difference is, there's a lot of differences, I guess. I mean, it's Christian saved. But what's really popular there is health, wealth, prosperity. And there's kind of a traditional, it's a communal model. Africans are very communal, and they'll have one pastor who's now the elder guy, and if you're going to be a pastor, you got to be under him, and so he's got 20 guys under him, and they got branches, branch churches. We would call them satellites here. And so the guy on top, and that's kind of how it does. And so everybody defers and gets their sermons from him, kind of thing. And all they know is just preach. And I'll just say I'm hoping tonight to give you something from Scripture that really talks about this understanding of God. As we get into a Q&A on that tonight. It's the idea here that in Africa, it's, you need to do this so that God will bless. You need to do this or don't do this so that God won't curse, kind of thing. And that's what's being preached, and they shout at you. They're just Africans. That's the average kind of sermon. So people get affected in the sermon, but as soon as they walk out, it's like Moses, you know, his face is red when he leaves God, then it goes back to normal, so he's got to put a veil over his face so nobody can see that his sunburn's going away. That's how it is when you leave one of those churches, you know, as soon as you walk out of the parking lot, it starts to fade, then it's pretty much what's for lunch, let's go, and all that. Our guys, they're still Africans, so the African personality, and they really accentuate, but they're saying, right there in the verse, look what it says. And they're making connections in the verses. And they're demonstrating what God is saying while they're speaking to the people. Arr! The people go, ooh, is what happens. God just spoke. And when I leave, God's still speaking. And when I'm thinking during the week, God has spoken. It says, that guy can preach. Not because we create great speakers. That's all gifting. I can't do anything about that. They just take the words and explain them to the people in a way that's not boring. And the people say, how do you do that? Because Africans have grown up for thousands of years in an oral culture. You talk. Nobody writes anything down. Documents are not how you run a village. It's not how you run a province, anything. You don't. That's why there's a little bit of tension in South Africa, because everybody worries about COVID and this and that and constitutional authority. And the previous president, a guy who got deposed out of corruption, but he actually literally said this. He said, a constitution is a Western concept. So now, we say that just sounds like a typical, I don't know, communist guy or all that kind of stuff. But no, it's very African. A constitution where you put some on words and stick it in some book somewhere, that is a Western concept, because that's not how you live. It's not how you run society. Well, we can debate that and say there's principles and things like that, but that's not how they live. I'm not saying it's how God wants us to operate, because he gave us a constitution, right? He gave us stuff written down in the book. So I think we believe God's about words. God is about words, God's about sentences, God's about grammar. But Africans in general will listen intently to whoever seems to have the bar of authority. And it's always the guy in the pulpit, whoever's there, and so listen. If you say, look what it says, it's going to take a very different African to say, let me open and see, which is why they'll only preach like one verse or something, and then whoosh, off they go. Our guys are taking the time to get people engaged with God in how he communicates to us, which is through words that can't be changed on a book, going through, and then they're just like, whoa, because it's God who's speaking to them then, not the man. And that's why there's an impact. And so that's why we have Christ Seminary, 3 years of teaching them to do that, which is why people are calling us saying, can I come? And the problem is, with internationals, the government of South Africa is making it very difficult for internationals to come to South Africa. Very difficult. And, it's interesting. I'll just say, South Africa's immigration policy is Loctite. You'd think it'd be very open, porous borders, because Africa, they just kind of let you come back and forth. Not a chance. Because South Africa knows if you leave the door unlocked, they will flood to South Africa. It's the most developed country in all of the continent. Everybody wants to go there. So they're saying, if you want to come as a student getting a visa, the requirements they're way tougher than here, way tougher. So we try to help our students, that come from other countries where we can to get them to come. And they still come. They still come. So that is happening. We had 21 we accepted. I think about a total of 16 were able to make it. And that's what started this next year. So we're growing because we graduated 12, we're accepting 16, and so we're moving. I can anticipate us having 30 or more every year, because now the Lord has given us the ability through some gifted people. We figured out how to work social media. We never understood that before. And all of a sudden now you're there, people are coming out of nowhere, I saw this on Facebook, I saw this on Twitter, I saw this, okay, great. So key is hiring a bunch of 20 to 30-year-olds. When you do that, man, we're moving. Because I'm back in the days of the slide rule, which is, for some of you, just ask your parents or grandparents what that is. They'll tell you. My dad actually wrote a book on how to use the slide rule, so just so you know that. We are doing some big things now. This thing here, the middle slide, that guy right there. What does that mean? A bunch of words on a slide. I'm going to be African. I'm going to tell you what that is. We offer a bachelor's degree. People are coming. We feed them, we house them, books, class, everything. We got all those faculty guys you saw. They're all getting paid to do that. It's a university. We are highly subsidized, meaning we give scholarships to every student at about 98% of the cost of the university. So they pay about $350 a year. The actual cost would be around $9,000, $8,000. And that's what we offer. And I think once our marketing presence gets out there, people are now going to come. And our graduates, we now have 200 and some odd that are all out there, and they're preaching, and people are sitting. It's like, man, we're getting a presence. We started with the Baptist denomination. Very quickly, the Baptists didn't like us and somewhat separated from us. And they helped give us students to start with, but now we have enough synergy that kind of the car started, we can now move. And so we've got an intake of graduates who send us men. So we have graduates who send disciples, and those disciples send disciples, and now it's happening. We don't need a denomination anymore. And that's what's happening. So where do we go from here? Just hope that God brings a lot more students? Sure. But there's some other things that are happening. One is an implementation of a lower level for men and women at a level, the best way I could describe it is, think of them as somewhere between your first year of community college and AP classes in high school. Somewhere at that level. So they're actually classes that the government recognizes as university level, but first year for sure. You know, like lower level first year kind of thing. And you don't have to have the requirements to get into that like you would if you wanted to enter into a bachelor's degree program. If you want to enroll in Christ Seminary, we need high school marks up to here. If you want to enroll in this, what we call level 5, which is like post-high school, you need to graduate from high school here. So we'll take these people as well. And let's offer that program. That'll get a ton more people to learn Bible because our African community does not understand the Bible. Some are saved, most are not. But they're God-fearing. They're, like they would say, I'm a Christian. Okay, we need to get them taught, clued up, because their churches aren't teaching that. So what we want to do is offer a program to get them to do that. Now, if we go by the same formula, it's going to be advertised, and everybody come to Polokwane, 3 hours north. It'd be like let's come to Tucumcari, New Mexico. Okay. Not a whole lot of folks are going to be able to come. It's just a tough thing to go. So we want to use our graduates to teach, the guys who are out there. Here's an example. Okay, I guess I've jumped. I got to explain this here. DTAC. What is DTAC? Because this is my plan. Well, it's not my plan. It's the plan we all came up with. Distance is the same term you would use for correspondence. So I think everybody knows correspondence courses, right? You guys know that? I take correspondence courses from UCLA. Okay, great. So that means I don't have to go there. They mail me the stuff, and I do my things, and I take a test if I need to online or whatever, and then boom, hey, I took that course, and I got a credit for it. That is available in South Africa, distance. I think we should offer a distance course, which means people can study it out there. But the little tack right there means taught as contact. What do I mean by that? Contact is like this. Teacher, students. That's contact. I got to show up in this hall and there's 1,000 people in the class to learn English or history or whatever it was in university. That's contact. Correspondence means I don't have to do that. Correspondence says, here's your stuff, you're on your own, go at your own pace. That's not really how you're going to reach Africans. That's not how you're going to do missions, is mail people a bunch of tracts, mail them an education. No, you need discipleship. I need to look in your eyes. I need to see what's going on. I need to find out what's happening. I need to give you the scriptures and give you conviction. You need a mentor. Well, you only get that with contact. How about if but if you want to do contact, now you're talking to the government, which means if we want to set up a school now in Johannesburg, which is 3 hours south, that means you got to tell the government, they're going to come look at your building, find out who's teaching, what's their resume look like, are they getting paid, where are their offices, do they have a computer, show me your library, do you have as many as the other, let's go through the checklist, like that. Okay, pay us $30,000. It's like, okay, and after 3 years, after we get many committees, then we'll approve your program. That doesn't sound like a very good path. Okay, if you want to implement one new thing, that's what you got to go through. Or, let's offer correspondence courses. You want to do that, you tell the government, here's your idea, here's your program, here's the courses laid out. They go, okay, 3 months in committee, boom, done. Pay $5,000 or something like that. It's just done. And now we offer something people can get, and they actually have a degree. That's great, but Pastor, that's correspondence. Nobody wants to do correspondence. I mean, that'd be like doing church correspondence, have the pastor mail you a sermon, read it, and talk about it, and pray, and maybe, once a month we'll come and have a fellowship meal or something. I mean, sounds like COVID, right? So why don't we offer correspondence, but have our graduates be in charge of it who are living in Johannesburg, and they'll tell all the people who are in correspondence saying, I'm here Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and Saturday afternoons. I'll offer between 5 and 9 at night, and on Saturday afternoons, I'm here, you will come, and I will teach this class. You don't have to be here because it's correspondence. But if you want to come, I'm here. And if you want to know the answers to the test next week, I'm here. And if you show up, 8 out of 10 times, I give you a free book. Here you go. They want to come because how correspondence is taught today is people show up and a guy stands up as a facilitator and he pops in a DVD of some guy somewhere else teaching that class to a bunch of students somewhere. But you get the DVD of him standing up there going, okay, now 3.1.2, if you look at it like that. Right, they go through that. And then they get fill in their little study guides, and that's how they do it. That's correspondence. Old days, they didn't have DVDs. Today, they got DVDs. I'm saying I think the real kick here is correspondence gets you away from the government. It's accredited. You can trade up just like you do anything else. But you use our graduates to teach it like you're in a university class setting. There's discipleship, there's mentoring, and our graduates have a church, or they're in the church building. That's where they meet for the people to come in. It's at this church. And he says, by the way, this is my church. I'm right here. Why don't you come? See, now it's a way to say, let's bring the people to the guys who are pastoring, because they're battling hard because they are teaching Reformed doctrine, Bible teaching, thinking, reading the text in an environment called a township, which is all black. That's not how Africans work. They really are attracted to the charismatic health wealth deal where it's all about that. Let's all pursue money. And that's where they're competing, right in the heart of Satan's territory. Many people, though, are very tired, especially under COVID, of the charismatic deal because it has no answers. They're not getting answers. But it's still difficult to come to a church that doesn't preach, God will make you rich. It's tough. But now if you take those very same people and put them in a place where they're getting a degree, so they're happy. I'm actually getting something that enables me to go to university. And I'm sitting listening to this guy, and he's pretty interesting. Not only that, this is the Bible. And I'm learning this stuff. And this is his church. You know what? I think I'm going to come here. That is going to happen. I've talked to our graduates. They are exceedingly excited about this. What this does is pulls our graduates in to become faculty of Christ Seminary, but they're out there. So it's kind of like University of Kansas at Wichita. It's kind of like that. And so we've got DTAC, which we could actually go into Botswana. And you say, what's Botswana? Oh, that's right next door on the west. Botswana. There's a really goofy movie out there called The Gods Must Be Crazy. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie. It's a really goofy movie. It's in Botswana, which is right next to where I live. Different country. A lot of animals. We have Christ Seminary graduates there. We actually have a graduate who's getting his PhD. So there's Botswana. It would actually go like, it would fit like right there. We have graduates there, so why not put Christ Seminary there? And what that means is let the students in Botswana not come all the way here, but gather right there where our Christ Seminary graduates are and take the classes. Now you don't travel. All the visa issues, cost, and for sure, we do not want to put a school there. I mean, it's going to be a ton of money, and then the government's not going to let you, and you're going to fight through all this. So let's not do that. But rather, let's not do that. Rather, this is what we're looking for. Botswanian students who will now come to a place where Botswanian men graduated from Christ Seminary, one of them getting his PhD already right now, big researcher, obviously. So it's like, hey, we got big dogs there. And come and sit and learn. What Botswana has done as a country, as a nation, they've decided to removed soft sciences from their university system. It means they no longer teach theology in the schools, meaning your graduate schools. They don't have seminaries there. And now they don't even have Bible colleges there. There's no money in it. We don't do that. Wow, what a great opportunity. Christ Seminary should be there. That's the deal. And we got people there already. If you got people there, let's use them. Let's not go find more missionaries and do this thing and go through this whole thing and raise $1 million and all that kind of stuff. How about let's use the people that are there, and our graduates can teach. We've got the curriculum. We're going to send it to them. Say, here, teach this. Done. And the accreditation comes from South Africa. Accreditation comes, meaning it's a correspondence thing that has accreditation from South Africa. Well, they benefit. Everybody benefits. And the kingdom is moving. So we got students teaching. Here are our guys. I've got them. They're lined up. These guys all graduated here. And this guy here, he's getting his PhD. They're all here in Botswana. Same thing in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is up here to the north. By the way, see that where the Christ Seminary is? That's where Polokwane is, just so you know. There's South Africa. If you want to go south, you go to Antarctica, okay? So that's it. You're down here, Cape Town, like right there. That's cold down there. And you keep going south, Antarctica, okay? So there's Cape Town down there, and we are there. So we're way up here. Zimbabwe actually fits like right there. And so right there, same thing. Students in Zimbabwe, rather than coming to us, they go there. That we don't have to cross the border, get in jail for not having your vax passport, all that kind of stuff. They're there. We actually have a daughter school in Zimbabwe, which is right there. Chief Shepherd Bible College in Chikumbedzi. One of our graduates started this in Zimbabwe. He was so excited with the training he got, he's like, I'm going to do this. We said, well, okay, we can't put a seatbelt on you, so let's go. So he started. So we got graduates from here, but it has no government connection whatsoever. So we let them teach, and then these guys come, and they come to Christ Seminary because we're now offering a deal. So they graduate from there and come to us. So that's it right there. That's the Chikumbedzi Church, which is where they meet and do their schooling. And that's those guys. Oh, look at there. I'm done. So the goal is that, now there's some other goals that are happening, which is we have other missions work happening in a place called Durban, which is on the East Coast, down in Cape Town, which you kind of saw where that is. Matter of fact, I'll even show you I'll do that like here. So we have here work that is happening. We're here. Now, right here, there's some work happening in Durban. That's Durban. And that's starting. And right here, Cape Town. That's starting. And then you got Botswana over here. And then you got Zim right here. And then you've got Joburg, which is right there, thereabouts in scale. And Joburg, I mean, you all know Antioch Bible Church, Robin Brown, Tim Cantrell. I mean, that's part of this mission deal. They're in Joburg. They're with us. They're part of this. They're having a training that's happening in Johannesburg. So we're all together as one, but each individual sites. So that TMAI is linking us together. It's linking us all together. So we're one now, working as one unit, but teaching in various areas of the country. But to now expand it out even more, let's involve our graduates because they're qualified, they're trained, they're pastors, they know the community, they're everywhere. Let's give them correspondence stuff to teach and facilitate. You bypass the government. The government's happy with you. They don't feel like you're getting around a corner here. They like what you're doing because you're actually using Africans in government and using Africans correspondence to teach out. And you're actually providing teaching and not making the students have to pay for it or like be required. So they think you're really giving the students a break here. Governments love it when you give the students a break. So we're saying, we're providing class and you don't have to show up. Okay, welcome, you guys are doing great. So the government's for it. We bypass the cost, the time. Our graduates are the ones now teaching, which means we don't send missionaries. And they handle it all. And here's another, this is kind of Dave's thing, I know I get criticized for it, but people will pay. This is not a subsidized scholarship program. People will pay because it's correspondence and they work. The guys who come to Christ Seminary don't work, so they can't pay. So we give them a scholarship. Guys are working. That's why they want to do correspondence, which means I take classes at my leisure, and if I do go to class, it's at night. Oh, okay. So I got a job. Oh, okay. So you're not paying for the knowledge, you're paying for the degree. We got the degree right here. You want it? It's going to cost you about $100 a class. Okay, cheap, no problem. So the students pay us per class. We can split that fee with the graduates. Now the graduates have a way to make income because they're actually teaching. So they're actually investing. It's not giving them shares in the school kind of thing, you know? So they become part owners because they're the ones teaching. They're qualified. So we're now here at the fruit of the tree that we planted decades ago, which is the guys who are graduating are actually able to keep teaching and able to sustain the teaching and develop relationships and get the people from the classroom into the church because they're the pastors. That's the big goal, along with getting us all to work together with other missionaries and things that are happening, allowing bachelor's degrees and so forth. That's the big news of what's happening, which is your investment in missions is actually providing a return. That's what's happening. And I thought you might want to hear that. So that's what's going on here. And we got like 10 minutes for questions. That's pretty good. I can land the plane like that. So any thoughts, any questions? Yes.
We read a lot in the news about ethnic conflicts, murder rates, crime. Is that true, or is that just something the media is pumping?
It's true. Now let's get into the specifics of whatever the articles say. It's like any media now. Nobody just reports the news like they used to with, Edward R. Murrow back in the day, and here's the thing, and no. Let me kind of take it in this way. Is there crime and all of those kind of things? Absolutely. South Africa is one of the world leaders in crime. Has been, probably will be for forever. Am I worried about it? No more than I was 20 years ago. Has it gone up? No, not necessarily. Matter of fact, I think it's gone down myself because I am amazed that I can go from Polokwane to Johannesburg on a long 3-hour stretch on the highway, and I'm not ever thinking about getting like carjacked or 3 cars surround you and all that kind of stuff. I was the first 5 years, 6 years, because that's what was happening a lot. So, you know, it's an amazing thing. The hand of God seems to be there. Amazing thing happened, just to give you an idea, because there was a thing that happened about 8 months ago, big thing. Could have turned the country inside out. And we're talking about a cataclysmic event could have happened 8 months ago. There was a bunch of riots over here in this part of the country, in Durban, right here. There was a bunch of riots here from the Zulus. They were upset because the former president was now put in jail. Okay, the story is. So that would be the cover of under this, we're upset because our guy is in jail, so we're going to go, you know, and we're going to go here and riot, which means we just form an army of 100,000 people, and we're on the march, and we burn everything that is standing. And that's kind of what they were trying to do. So you had tens and tens and tens of thousands of people coming out of the woodwork, and we're just going to go burn, because that's a little bit of the negative things about Africa. When it gets like that, it's literally like sharks in the water with blood. They stop thinking, and it's just off we go. Well, nobody could figure out what was happening, but it was a planned attack. It wasn't just crime. They cut off the highway, and so what they did was they cut off the highway right there, more like right there. So the road that came in, so now help can't come. So they cut off the pass, literally. And they cut off the passes, and now it's like, here's this anarchy that's happening coming in. I don't think anybody understood how well armed the normal private citizens were. Nobody understood that. And immediately, Neighborhood Watch came in like that. And they surrounded every place where there was neighborhood deals and all that, and they were up 24/7. And as people came in with taxis full of Molotov cocktails coming in, I mean, they were ready to go. You had a paramilitary organization that was neighborhoods. I kind of laughed. One guy, I was a pastor, he was called out, and he was there with all these guys trying to look. There was a guy behind him with an RPG. It was like, ooh, man, okay. How do you have one of those in your closet? So the neighbors came out and went, poof, you're not going to do this. And they just, and it shut everything down. I mean, it was everything shut down. So the country, neighbors, people, it was an act of God. You had far-right Afrikaner people standing arm in arm with taxi drivers. I mean, we're talking about cobras and mongoose here, and giving each other bullets. Now, I know it sounds kind of violent in that, but it is violent. That's what was coming. War was coming, and it stopped that quick from the citizenry. It was like, I don't know how to deal with it. Now, is there crime? Is there murders that are happening? What happens over here? They talk about farm murders. Yes. Is it conspiracy? Is it a genocide? No. Once the new government came in, and they're not very organized, and there's not good policing, and crime happens. So, like for example, our house, our fence and surrounding our house is 100% electrified fence. We're right in the middle of a town, right in the middle of a street, and 10,000 volts. That's our fence. And then our house is surrounded by electronic beams that, and motion detectors and that kind of thing, and it's armed response. And inside, we got really big dogs. So if somebody wants to come, then they got to get through all that. So yes, so it's there, but worried? No. But it's life.
Are the students that graduate going back into the country in South Africa, or are they disseminating throughout other areas in South Africa?
Okay, if they're from another country, they go back to their other country, for sure. If they're, wherever they come from, absolutely, they all go back to where they're living. Many of them are already pastoring a church there. They're just getting their thing in there. So they are not, nobody's coming and then staying where we are and all that, no. 100% are always remaining where they are. Now, they might plant a church somewhere and go to it, but they're in their area speaking their language, absolutely.
The other thing is, are you tied in with, in Zambia, Bonnie Backham, is he tied in with TMIA, with your group?
Yes and no. He is with us. He's a big friend. We do a lot of stuff with him. He comes in, speaks, and tied in. He's not like a member of, but absolutely he's one of us, and we are one of him. Bodie Bacum, there's several other like that. Bodie Bacum and a guy named Conrad and Mbeway have a school there. But there's other people. There's a guy from Midwestern Baptist College, I think. He's from Oklahoma. He's been there 20-some-odd years, has a university in Zambia. It's amazing. We're going to have him speak at our graduate conference. So, yes, Bodie Bacum is he's, just to help, I don't know if this might help or not. He and I graduated from the same university, just so you know. As well as Pastor Chris. I got to get him on that. So I didn't realize yesterday, I got a husky back there. So, yes, so we're there. Anybody else? Yes?
When you mention the Afrikaners, the congregation may not understand the wide difference between an African and Afrikaner, but also, do y'all have Afrikaners come into the class?
Yes, we do. It's always about 10%. So you just see that. It's amazing. And they mix with the blacks, and they go, now, Afrikaner. What is an Afrikaner? Spelled with a K, by the way. Afrikaner. Afrikaners they're Dutch, really. The Dutch came back with Reformed theology, the Dutch Reformed Church. They came in, and from about 1880 or so, they've been like so many generations born in Africa. They developed their own language, which is a mixture of Dutch, some African, some German, some others, and it's just kind of like they got Afrikaans is the name. So it's not like Afrikaans been around for 400 years. It's been around for about 130 years. And so they developed a people group. They're there. They're farmers. They're called Boers, B-O-E-R, means farmer. And there were two wars called the Boer Wars, which Winston Churchill was actually in one. He was a prisoner of war, where the English were fighting. And, it's all about colonialism. The English were trying to fight, take the farms away from the farmers and like that. And so then the Afrikaners are there, and there's been a big history because they have a history of a government called apartheid, which was very wicked. And it was extremely racial and set up so you segregate the blacks, put them all out, and we run things. In 1994, the government changed. And it was one man, one vote, and now we have I'll just use the word, we have a black government, and the African National Congress. And the Afrikaners are a people group. They're there trying to survive. And there's a lot of Christians in that group. Unfortunately, history would paint with a broad brush, bad people, bad group kind of thing. But there are Christians. There are people who were not part of that movement. There are people who fought that movement. And so it makes it complex in Africa, very complex. And our church, what was great, our church is right now 70% black, 30% white. 4 years ago, it was 70% white, 30% black. And it's not because whites are angry and leaving. No. That's South Africa. And we're not living in the big city, so things move in and out. It was great preaching Ephesians, going through chapter 2 and chapter 3. Man, people saw it so clear. The mystery of the gospel, enemies sitting together. And boy, you preach that, and you're looking, and they're like, amen. And so we go have tea and coffee afterwards, and this is my brother. And so, yeah, we've had under COVID, we've had a lot of black families come in, which is surprising. They come in, and they've been around, and they haven't been to us. So the Lord's kind of kept them back until we're ready now, and then he's bringing them in. And Afrikaners are coming in. And they would say, "This is my kerk." They come in and say, "Man, that means this is my church, man." And it's like weird to hear them say that because Baptists are considered a cult. And they come in and they hear the word for the verse. Actually, one Afrikaner, this is a great testimony. This guy's been Afrikaans, going to it's called the AFM Church, which is it's not the Assemblies of God, it's the Apostolic Faith Mission, which is very Benny Hinn oriented. Afrikaans only, they speak Afrikaans. And he's like, this isn't right. Something's got to be right. And he saw some things on YouTube and R.C. Sproul and MacArthur. Oh, these guys. So he's poking around YouTube. There's got to be something in Polokwane. And he picked up a sermon by Joseph Maklaula, who's been here. African guy. When does an Afrikaner all of a sudden poke around and say, let me listen to this African sermon guy? Listen to this guy, Joseph, and he's like preaching on Matthew 18, He's like, I like that guy. I believe what that guy says. That guy's amazing. Is there more? And he just got all of our sermons because various of us would preach under COVID. And he's like, where are these guys? So then when we opened up, there he is to see us. How you doing? Yeah, I'm here. And it was literally just, next week, I'm bringing my wife. You come in? This is my kerk. we're here. And it, at the time, was, you know, it's 60%, 70% black, 30%, no, we're here. We're here. These are my brothers, these are my sisters. So that's our church. So it's very mixed, in a mixed and complicated country. That's what we have. I think it's 10 o'clock. Is there just one last question? Okay, but we'll have some tonight as well.
The ultimate goal of everything you're saying is what?
Ultimate goal, Africans now training Africans. It's basically this: so goes the pulpit, so goes South Africa. We need men in pulpits so that people are in churches, so that people get saved. But it's got to come through African preachers. You're now seeing at the place where we now have Africans training the Africans to do that. So we can figure out where to go next. There was one last, somebody had an arm.
Do you preach in English?
I preach in American. It really is. Yeah, I preach in American, but occasionally you have to throw in the little, "Jy moet bekeer, jou dubbelhartige mense," which means you must repent, you double-hearted man. And occasionally you throw that out there for effect, and they kind of shake it up a little bit. And so yeah, there's occasional things that you can fire in there a lot. But yeah, it's an English is the dominant language in the country. But there are 13 separate people groups, 13 separate languages, of which 11 of those are black, 2 of them are white. So when you see white people there, don't think, oh, white people, black people. You got to figure out what kind of white people, because understand, there was a bitter, bitter war between the English and the Afrikaner. Way more bitter than there was between black and white. And that was only about 80 years ago, 90 years ago. People's grandparents were in concentration camps. There was torture. There were things that I don't want to speak about here. And you're saying, you got somebody my age, my grandparents, let me tell you. I see in English, it's a different story. So it's a complicated country that you can't make assumptions about at all. But Christ changes all hearts, and it's amazing to see how this transforms. So this is what's happening. We'll have more questions tonight, and we can get into it, but this is what's going on. This is actually your ministry you're part of. So I wanted to give you the quick, there you go, and you got that. And the tech worked. The guys in the back, man, they're amazing. So we got that. So thank you. So well, then let me pray for us, and then we can get on and get ready for the service. Lord, we thank you for your ministry of reconciliation you've given to all of us. Give it to your church. And thank you for this faithful flock, Lord, that is concerned with missions and what you are doing. They're called to hold the rope. Some of us are called to be out there, and you are called to multiply and grow, as your word tells us. Some water, some plant, but you provide the growth. And we're here to proclaim your greatness, your glory for the growth that you have provided. We're just clay vessels doing what we think is best next, getting through COVID and all the things that you provide as well. And for that, we are glory, and we just give glory to you. And we're anxious now just to await the worship that is before us as we get to worship before the living God. Praise you, and that you would fill our hearts with your Spirit. In Christ's name, amen.